our last coordinator slash positions coach hire during the 2024 offseason. And that is none other than former head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Geoff Collins, heading to another ACC school under Mack Brown at the University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels. And Brad, this one caught me by surprise when I saw this one. I think Geoff Collins is a great coach. And I think he came into a very, very unfortunate situation at Georgia Tech during COVID. Never really got the opportunity to transition. When you're going from a triple option offense to a spread offense and you're wanting to implement new players, new personnel, it's extremely hard when you can't get guys on campus. So in my opinion, he got screwed. And this is a great opportunity for Geoff Collins to get back into coaching. He took off last year. He didn't coach anywhere. Took the time off probably to relax and revamp his energy and his dedication towards football. And now he gets the chance going over to coach under a legendary coach in Mack Brown. Brad, I'll hand it over to you. Thoughts on Geoff Collins? And, Gene Chizik is out the door at UNC and enters Geoff Collins. So what happens next?
Yeah, Nate. It's an interesting hire because you said it, Geoff Collins. He had a lot of obstacles at Georgia Tech. You hit the nail on the head, but it also just kind of felt like a little bit of a weird fit. Which, hey, for Georgia Tech, with not all the support and the funding, you've got to think a little bit outside the box there with that. And I'm with you. The transition from a triple option to him trying to bring it into a modern offense was tough. I will say from a defensive minded standpoint, this guy is good, and he's familiar with the ACC. It isn't obviously a very, very much a new look ACC, but he's familiar with it. Obviously being the Georgia Tech head coach. But look, this guy has been successful. He's been at Mississippi State. I remember him the most being the defensive coordinator for Florida for a couple of years. I believe that was under Jim McElwain, and then he makes the transition into head coach at Temple. Nate, it's an interesting hire. I won't say it's earth-shattering. I think they will be better. But look, bottom line is Mack Brown had a disappointing year last year. They were good on offense. They struggled on defense. Mack Brown's starting to get older, and I don't think they're necessarily going to fire him in Chapel Hill unless it just really, really goes off the tracks. But he knew that he needed to make a change. It's an interesting fit. If I had to grade it, I would give it, a B minus, maybe a B. I don't think it moves the needle. I don't think it moves the needle in recruiting. But I think Geoff Collins is a good X and O's coach. So I'm interested to see as we progress through the season where North Carolina's at from a defensive standpoint. It's interesting. It's always interesting when you have a head coach that goes back to be a coordinator. So it's one to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, Brad, I'll be honest with you. I think this is the perfect fit for North Carolina. Being a coordinator is a lot different than being a head coach. We talked about the transition issues for Georgia Tech. Coming from a triple option team into a spread offense, he never had the opportunity to recruit the right guys in there. You're talking about a complete overhaul of roster change, not to mention throw in the new transfer portal and all the above. But at the end of the day, this guy knows how to coach players. He's coached very, very good players like Fletcher Cox at Mississippi State. He also coached Vernon Hargraves and Keanu Neal at Florida. So this guy knows how to coach. I think this is his opportunity. I think Geoff Collins has an opportunity to get back into coaching and eventually find his role as a head coach once again at the right opportunity. Maybe this is an opportunity for him to prove himself and take over for Mack Brown. If Mack Brown decides to step away in the next year or two, I can't imagine Mack Brown staying around too much longer, especially with the money and opportunities he's going to have in broadcasting, along with Nick Saban and all those legendary coaches. It's going to be interesting to see the broadcasting booth change over the next couple of years. It might take away some spots for us, Brad. We might have to wait a couple of years, but we'll be patient. We're young. We're resilient, so we'll stick with it. But I think this is a splash hire. I think this is a very underrated hire. When you look at a school like the University of North Carolina, the ACC is wide open. Florida State has a lot of turnover. Obviously, Florida State and Clemson are going to be the front runners. But look for UNC to bounce back this year. I think getting a guy like Geoff Collins, who's young, who's energized, who had a year off from football, he's ready to get back. And I'm not saying they're going to win the ACC or anything, but think they're going to have a good chance to get back on the winning track, maybe win 7 to 9 games again.